Neurotransmitters. So we're going to talk about a lot of specific compounds now, and I don't expect you to memorize their structures or anything. I would like you to recognize that they are amines and have some clue about their importance. So neurotransmitters are important. These are the chemical substances that are released at the end of a nerve, and they travel across the synapse to the receptor on the next nerve. And this is how your brain sends signals to your hand to pick up your pencil and take notes, right? So here's the one neuron, the nerve ending here, and the neurotransmitters are stored here. They are released when a nerve impulse comes in. They're released, and there's this little gap here, and they go across the gap into the receptors on the other side, and that's the signal for this nerve to continue that. So it's like they're playing, tag or something all the way down. Tag, you're it, tag, you're it, tag, you're it, and the nerve impulse travels that way along the nerves. So serotonin is a neurotransmitter. It is involved in sleep, sensory perception, and regulation of body temperature. If you do not have enough serotonin, you're going to have some mental issues. Deficiency is implicated in mental illness. Many of the antidepressants are SSRIs, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors. And the way those work, so what happens when the serotonin is here in the synapse? Some of it goes into the next nerve, but some of it's just hanging out here. And what happens to it? Well, it gets reuptaken. And so if you don't have enough serotonin, taking a serotonin reuptake inhibitor will help there to be more serotonin available to pass the nerve impulses along. So serotonin is very important. Your body makes serotonin from tryptophan. Tryptophan is present in relatively high levels in Turkey. You may have, heard about this. There's a reason that people get sleepy after Thanksgiving dinner. And it's not just because you stayed up late the night before or you ate too much or anything like that. The tryptophan in the turkey allows your body to make more serotonin. Serotonin is involved in sleep, and it makes you drowsy. They've also found that serotonin is produced in the mammary glands, and there it regulates lactation. So that's kind of cool. Dopamine and norepinephrine are two other neurotransmitters, and these are both derivatives of 2-phenylethylamine. So this is phenyl, and there's the ethyl group. It's 2-phenyl because the phenyl group is on the second carbon of the ethyl group, and there's the amine. These are synthesized from tyrosine, which is an amino acid. So tyrosine is converted into dopamine. So here we see the 2-phenylethylamine. Now it's got 2 hydroxyl groups on that phenyl. And over here, norepinephrine, the difference is that we've got a hydroxyl group on this second carbon here. So these compounds are very similar. Dopamine is found in your brain. Individuals who have Parkinson's disease do not make enough dopamine. You cannot treat someone with Parkinson's disease by just giving them dopamine pills or dopamine injections because there is a barrier between your blood and your brain which protects your brain from a lot of stuff. And only certain things are allowed to cross that blood-brain barrier. Dopamine cannot cross the blood-brain barrier. But L-DOPA can. So this is L-DOPA and this is dopamine. And we see that this is, what's that functional group? Carboxylic acid. This is a carboxylic acid. This can go through the blood-brain barrier, and in your brain, it can be converted to dopamine. Norepinephrine is needed by a properly functioning brain. If you have high levels of norepinephrine, you can get feelings of elation. Those are always fun. But if you get extremely high levels, that can lead to manic behavior. Manic behavior is not fun. Not that I've personally experienced it, but I've seen its effects in other people, and it's not a good thing. So that's an example of too much of a good thing is a bad thing. It functions as a central nervous system stimulant. It constricts blood vessels, which causes your blood pressure to increase. It also increases blood glucose levels. This can be very useful if you're having low blood pressure. So septic shock is a very serious situation, and one treatment for that is to give a person norepinephrine. Increases their blood glucose levels and constricts the blood vessels and brings their very low blood pressure back up. They also often give this during CPR. Epinephrine is another important amine. Now, this is not specifically a neurotransmitter, but it is a central nervous system stimulant. Epinephrine is also known as adrenaline, and this is the most well-known one. So when you have pain, excitement, or fear, your body releases adrenaline into the blood. This increases the rate of your heart. It also increases the force with which your heart contracts, and this helps to increase muscular strength. You've all heard of situations where someone, their child was trapped under a car, and they've got really superhuman strength, and they're able to lift the car up. And that's the effect of adrenaline. Adrenaline or epinephrine is a treatment for anaphylactic shock. So if you know someone, or maybe you have this issue, some people, my brother-in-law is very allergic to bee stings. And if he were to get a bee sting and not be treated for it, he could die. There are people who have anaphylactic reactions to peanuts or various other things, and so they'll carry an EpiPen. Epinephrine in a pen form, it's got a needle, and so you can easily inject yourself with it. And that stimulates your central nervous system and helps you to stay alive until you can get medical treatment. So norepinephrine and epinephrine are very similar, aren't they? All these little tiny differences. This just has a methyl group on it. And so, sometimes we get a little frustrated with how picky chemistry nomenclature is, or how picky the reactions are. But small differences can be really, really significant. And that's just how the world works. Amphetamine and methamphetamine. Those are also CNS, central nervous system stimulants. These are synthetic. These are not made by your body. Amphetamine is useful as a treatment for attention deficit disorder. The trade name is Adderall. It increases alertness, concentration, and cognitive functioning, and at the same time decreases fatigue. You might say, well, hey, that sounds good. I'd like some of that. Well, amphetamine is also used inappropriately. It's a street drug. And again, if you were able to control yourself and just use a little, maybe that might be beneficial, but people aren't able to do that. Methamphetamine is also approved for attention deficit disorder, this time with the hyperactivity portion, ADHD. Both of these were once used as appetite suppressants. I mean, it's really mind-boggling to think about, but when I was born, it was very common for doctors to prescribe diet pills to pregnant women to keep them from gaining too much weight. So that was the case with my mom. The doctor gave her speed. She took one and stayed up till 3 a.m. cleaning the house and decided that she'd rather get fat. Thanks, Mom. I appreciate you protecting me before I was born. They can be very effective appetite suppressants, but there's just so many other problems involved with them that use as an appetite suppressant is strongly discouraged. And you've probably heard of these. Methamphetamine is a big problem in this area, and it's called meth. And, you know, you periodically hear about big busts being made or houses exploding, meth labs where people are trying to make methamphetamine. And we'll talk more about that in just a minute. Decongestants, some amines are decongestants. Pseudoephedrine is one of them. Trade name is Sudafed. And phenylephrine is in a newer formulation, which is called Sudafed PE. These are both synthetic 2-phenylethylamine derivatives. Okay, so they're very similar to these other compounds that we've been talking about. Here's pseudoephedrine. So it's got 2 methyl groups, one on the nitrogen, one on the first carbon, and hydroxy group on the second carbon. And this one is phenylephrine. The difference is it's missing this methyl group here, and it's got an extra hydroxy group on the phenyl. Pseudoephedrine sales are now tightly monitored. You have to be, I forget if it's 18 or 21. You have to be a certain age to be able to buy them, and you have to go in and show them your driver's license and sign your life away, and they keep track of how much Sudafed you buy, and it's a big pain. The reason they do that is because the drug dealers found that pseudoephedrine was really quite easy to convert into methamphetamine. And so they go around and they buy Sudafed, and they would cook it and make methamphetamine. All they had to do was remove this hydroxy group. The reason that phenylephrine began to come into use, and you can buy Sudafed PE without going to the pharmacy, is because by throwing this hydroxy group on and losing this methyl group, it just makes it too difficult for them to synthesize methamphetamine from it. And so this is less subject to abuse than the pseudoephedrine. But my personal experience is that phenylephrine really does nothing. So it's worth the trouble. Just go talk to the pharmacist and get the Sudafed, the real stuff. Antihistamines are also amines. Antihistamine. So these are things that are against histamines. What's a histamine? Histamine is a heterocyclic amine that's biosynthesized from the amino acid histidine. So this is histidine, and your body makes this into histamine. Histamine does a lot of different things in your body. Your body is going to release it in response to allergens and other things that it interprets as being an invader. It's going to cause runny eyes, itchy, watery nose, runny eyes. Watery eyes and runny nose. I don't know why we can't just switch those around, but we don't. And so that's unpleasant. It's very unpleasant. And we are in the height of allergy season right now. My husband's like, I wish spring would be over. So you take an antihistamine to stop the effects of histamine.